It's 9 o'clock. I think we'll get started. I'd like to call to order the September 14th meeting of the Pennington County Planning Commission. Would everybody please make an effort to speak into the microphones when you're speaking? We've been having trouble hearing people. Roll call. Commissioner Litzen isn't here yet, but she may turn up. And
she's gone.
She's gone today? Okay. And Commissioner Peterson is here representing the county board. Approval of the August 24th minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read those? If there are no corrections or additions, Chair would entertain a motion.
I would so move adoption.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the August 24th, 2015 minutes as written. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the agenda. We have a long agenda today, 19 items on consent, 30 items total. Chair would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent calendar. The following items have been placed on the consent calendar for action to be taken on all items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the Pennington County Board of Commissioners, who will make the final decisions. Are there any items that the planning commissioners wish to pull from the consent calendar? I have two. I'd like to pull number 11 and number 15, please. Would staff like to pull any items from the consent calendar?
Nope, staff's fine.
Okay. PJ, could you read all of
There's a
these
lot of
items?
All right.
Except 11 and 15.
Gotta get it started to get it done. PJ Conover, Director of Planning Department. Item number 3 on the consent calendar, conditional use permit review 0005 for Ralph and Kathleen Steiben to review a seasonal cabin in a limited agriculture district. Staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit 0005 with 4 conditions. Item 4, conditional use permit review 0731 for Jonna and Eddie Bonds to review a bed and breakfast as a home occupation in a low-density residential district. Staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit 0731 with 17 conditions. Item 5, conditional use permit review 0734 for James and Susan Norskov to review a home occupation, a greenhouse to grow plants and produce in a suburban residential district. Staff recommends to continue the review of conditional use permit 0734 to the September 28, 2015 Planning Commission meeting. Item 6, conditional use permit review 0746 for John E. Link Trust to review a wind measurement tower not to exceed 200 feet in height in a general agriculture district. Staff recommends to revoke conditional use permit 0746 with the property owner's concurrence. Item number 7, conditional use permit review 0839 for Patrick and Marley Shealy to review an accessory structure prior to a principal structure in a limited agriculture district. Staff recommends approval of the extension of CUP 0839 with 9 conditions. Item 8, conditional use permit review 1225 for Marvin and Lila Botts to review an existing residence to be used as a temporary residence while constructing a new single-family residence in a general agriculture district. Staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit 1225 with 5 conditions. Item 9, conditional use permit review 1308, Bill Whitney, Stanley Johnson Concrete, Larry and Lenora Rowland as the owners of the land to review a concrete batch plant and aggregate stockpile site in a general agriculture district. Staff recommends to revoke conditional use permit 1308 with the applicant's concurrence. Item 10, conditional use permit 1520, Mitch Morris to allow for construction equipment sales on the subject property in a general commercial district. Staff recommends to continue conditional use permit 1520 to September 28, 2015 Planning Commission meeting. Item 12, conditional use permit 1523 for Perry and Gretchen Stormbeck to allow for a caretaker's residence on the subject property in a low-density residential district. Staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 1523 with 8 conditions. Item 13, conditional use permit 1524 for Founder Fathers LLC, Don Perdue, as the agent to allow for a new bell tower sign to be 50 feet tall with the total height of the letters to be 35 feet in a highway service district. Staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 1524 with 10 conditions. Item 14, conditional use permit 1521, Dan and Tracy Lar, to allow an accessory structure to be a pole barn prior to a principal residence in a suburban residential district. Staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 1521 with 9 conditions. Item 16, construction permit 1514 for Lazy Piece 6 Company Incorporated, Orville Davis, to continue work initiated under construction permit 1305 and construction permit 1402. Staff recommends approval of construction permit 1514 with 10 conditions. Item 17, conditional use permit 1525 for Rushmore Shadows LLC to allow for an addition of 45 RV sites to the subject property in a highway service district. Staff recommends to continue conditional use permit 1525 to the September 28th, 2015 Planning Commission meeting. Item 18, construction permit 1516 for Rushmore Shadows LLC to perform mass grading in order to install a sanitary sewer system to a lift station, water main, storm sewer, aggregate base for 45 RV pads and asphalt surfacing. Staff recommends to continue construction permit 1516 to September 28, 2015 Planning Commission meeting. Item 19, construction permit 1515 for Flack Trucking Incorporated to continue stockpiling soil, leveling the plowed fields, and removing soil from the property. The staff recommends approval, construction permit 1515 with 12 conditions.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there any member of the audience who would like further discussion on any of those items? No, hearing none. Chair would entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
On to item 11.
Good morning, Kelsey Roush, Pennington County Planning Department. Item number 11 is a conditional use permit to allow for a vacation home rental in a low-density residential district. First of all, I went to do my site visit on the property and found that the home is actually a multifamily residential dwelling. They do not have a conditional use permit to have a multifamily dwelling on the property. They were unaware that they would need a conditional use permit for this. Therefore I decided that we should continue this for a while to see if they would like to either get a conditional use permit for a multifamily dwelling and then get a conditional use permit for the vacation home rental at a later date. From what I've heard from the agent, they are planning to technically get rid of the second apartment before they start using the vacation home rental. But with it being in violation at the moment, we can't allow a vacation home rental CUP with the violation intact. I will try and, I think maybe we should continue it till December. One of the December meetings would probably be best. That way then if they wanted to get the CUP for the vacation home rental, they will have time to advertise for that starting in January or February at the latest for next summer. So if you have any ideas.
So if I can just expand, there are renters now in
Yes, there's
both of the
currently 2 renters.
sets of renters?
Yes.
Okay, so they're planning to evict one set of renters?
I haven't not seen the date of when the renters are supposed to be living there. I don't know for sure how long they were planning on having the renters in there. They wanted to keep them until right before they started using the vacation home rental, but under the circumstances, I don't think we can do that. I think they should at least get rid of one renter and just use it as a single-family home before we can approve the CUP for a vacation home rental.
Okay.
Or, I mean, they are, I have heard that the agent said that they may be willing to get a conditional use permit for the multifamily and then revoke that once the CUP for the vacation home rental goes into effect next year, but kind
But
of
if-
a cart before the horse kind of thing, so.
Right. Okay, do you know what the status is of all of the rest of the items that are required before they can get the CUP for a vacation home rental? Do they have
do
all their
need-
licenses?
They have everything. I have not seen what do I need? They do not have, fire extinguishers and fire alarms yet. I've only seen part of the house because we didn't have a key for the upper 2 stories. So I don't know exactly. They do have all their licenses. They do need to have an updated, health department inspection because their original inspection was 2014. I think December would be enough time for them to get all of that done. So it's up to you, I think. Try and get in contact with them.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Sig.
I guess I have a question. So you were basically saying we have a known violation, but we're not going to do anything about it till December? Is that
Well-
essentially what we're saying?
I'm trying to figure out if they want to get rid of their renters now, because I don't know how long they've been in violation. I don't know. They came in for a building permit, and then we realized that they have a violation going on. I went out there and I thought, oh my gosh, this opens up a whole new can of worms. So I would like for them to get a CUP for the multifamily, but I don't think we can approve a CUP for a vacation home rental until this violation is cleared up. So,
I would agree, but I guess my point is, I mean, shouldn't they either take action to get rid of one set of renters
Right.
right away, or take action immediately to file
Right.
for
A
a
CUP.
multifamily?
right, I just did my inspection last week, so I didn't know about it until last week.
Well, my
So we just
concern
haven't
would
had
be if
time
we
to-
just knowingly let a violation just slide until they
Right.
make a decision. and
Right.
Right.
It doesn't seem fair to others that we
And I
do
have.
take action on.
I have emailed and called their agent, and I have not heard back yet. So on what they want to do, if they want to go ahead with the CUP for a multifamily and the vacation home rental, or what. So I have a call in.
I think that Sig is right, that we really, need to make sure they do something to resolve the violation.
Right.
As soon as possible.
Right.
So what do you want to do? Continue it to the next meeting for a report, Karen?
You think 1-2 weeks is enough?
Should
May
be.
want to do a month,
A month?
just because they're not in town, and apparently it's hard to get a hold of them, so.
So that would be the first meeting in October then.
Either 12.
I'll make a motion that conditional use permit CU 15-22 be continued to the October 12th meeting.
Is there a second?
Well, I get a second for discussion.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Well, I guess my question is if we're continuing 15-22, we're not really considering that at this time, aren't we looking just for action rather than the vacation home rental? We aren't really continuing at this point in time.
True.
Yeah. I'll withdraw my motion and substitute another motion. Okay?
Okay?
The seconder agree?
I agree.
Yeah. And that is to deny CU 15-22.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny conditional use permit CU 15-22. Further discussion. Kelsey?
Could we perhaps deny without prejudice so they can come back with this and not have to pay the extra $370 and,
I'm willing to do that, add that to my motion.
Seconded?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to deny conditional use permit CU 15-22
without prejudice?
without prejudice. which means they won't have to pay the fees again when they apply for a different conditional use permit. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So how are we addressing the issue of not having a CUP for the multiple family thing?
Yes, I have a call and an email into their agent, so, and I'm pretty sure they're willing to get a CUP for that. I just haven't seen the paperwork yet, so.
Okay.
Will they have to pay fines for that violation?
It's up to you. Technically, they brought a building permit in, and 3 of our staff missed the fact that there was a second kitchen. So at this point, I think if they just paid the $370, I think that would be fair. But it's up to you. If you want them to pay the fine or the penalty fees and everything, that would be okay.
That was, I was wondering why you guys hadn't caught this earlier, but, yeah, that would seem fair to me, and that they not be penalized up to that extent. But I do think something should be done promptly and with some vigor here.
Well, we have a motion on the floor. Sig?
I guess if we deny without prejudice, and we haven't amended the motion yet, correct? But would that be for any conditional use permit, or if they come in for the multifamily and then come back for a second CUP for the vacation home rental at a later date, are we then waiving fees for both, or just
No,
one
I would
I would
action?
say
just for
just the
one.
vacation home.
Okay.
PJ?
Nope, she
No.
answered it.
Okay. Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, let me get this straight now. The motion is to deny conditional use permit CU 15-22 without prejudice, which means that if they apply for a vacation home rental CUP in the future, they'll first have to apply for the multifamily and.
Or
and-
evict the renters.
And one of those the fees will be waived, the other one they'll have to pay fees.
Right.
And it's only good for 1 year.
And it's only good for 1 year. Okay, is everybody cool with that? Okay, further discussion, Sig.
When Barb made the motion, she didn't have that without prejudice, so she need to. Okay.
Would you like to, I thought you did amend your motion.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
And you seconded it.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. On to number 18. Oop, no, which one was it, 15? 15.
Good morning, Cassie Bolstead, Assistant Planning Director. Item 15 is a minor planned unit development amendment to amend the existing Rushmore Ranch Estates planned unit development to reduce the minimum required side yard setback on tract 48 from 25 feet to 10 feet in order to construct a garage on the subject property. Are there questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. This is a question, I think, for Kinsley. When this PUD was first granted, actually in its first update in May of 1997, condition number 12 said setbacks of 25 feet from all property lines. When it was amended again in 2002, those setbacks didn't appear. So is it reasonable for this person who poured his garage foundation outside the setbacks to assume that he was okay because there were no setbacks currently listed in the PUD, amended PUD?
Kinsley wrote with the state's attorney's office. Okay, so my thought would be that since setbacks weren't considered in the major amendment that was previously done, it was just a matter of, Cassie, do you know?
Yeah, when they amended it in 2002, it was specifically to change the use of some of the PUD. In 1997, they had townhouse uses in the PUD. The amendment in 2002 was to take away the townhouse uses and replace those with single-family residence uses. So the reason for the PUD amendment wasn't specific to the setbacks, it was for the use.
Okay, so then the setbacks, even though they weren't listed specifically in the agenda and were passed by the planning commission, whoever they were at that time, they were still in force.
Yes, that would be my understanding, is that it actually takes the amendment covering that topic in order to change it, so.
Okay,
It, you know,
okay.
unfortunately, it was left off as probably a clerical error or something, but yeah, we just go back to the original document since that was never amended.
Okay, and they're listed in the conditions that we will be approving today, assuming we agree with staff's recommendation of approval.
Correct.
Yes, I made sure they got back in there.
Yeah, thanks. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will, since I pulled this item, I will move that we approve minor plan unit development amendment PU 1503 with staff's 14 conditions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this minor plan unit development amendment with staff's 14 conditions. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 20.
Okay, item 20 is conditional use permit review, CU 1501, to review a single-wide mobile home to be used as a single-family residence while constructing a single-family residence in a general agriculture district. The applicant is Sherry Tonner. This is 50 acres, currently residential use. The reason this one is on the regular agenda instead of the consent agenda is I didn't get a chance to do a site visit to get it on consent. This conditional use permit was originally approved in February of this year with a 6-month review due to some ordinance 106 violation issues that were on the property. I did go out there last Thursday, walked around the site with the applicant. The ordinance 106 violations that were a concern before have been cleared. The property in the vicinity of the mobile home looks much better. That whole area right there used to be filled with random materials and items. So she has done a significant amount of cleaning on the property. The property is 50 acres, so she did state that she does continue to find random things throughout the property, but she cleans them up as she goes. So I would consider the ordinance 106 issues to be cleared at this time. When I was out there, the property only consists of the single-wide mobile home. She does have a second, what used to be a single-family residence. This was approved to be used as storage space. It is storage space. All that's stored in there is cleaning supplies, canoes, things like that. There's no utilities hooked up to that right now. And then there is just a garage on the property. So those are the only things that are on the property. Staff does recommend that we remove condition number 1 since the ordinance 106 violations have been resolved. And also staff recommends the removal of condition number 3 since she did get a building permit for her single-wide mobile home. So at this time, staff does recommend extension of conditional use permit 1501 with 9 conditions.
Thank you, Cassie. Questions for Cassie?
Second? Second? Or motion?
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address this issue? Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve conditional use permit review CU 1501 with 9 conditions.
If those 2 conditions are removed, isn't it 7 conditions? I mean, are we,
No, there were originally 11, and I think there are
oh,
reduced to
okay.
9.
So it's already printed in here. Got it?
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 21.
If I can find.
See, it's you again.
It's me again. Item 21 is a layout plat 1520 for Gerald and Donna Grover. This property is 5.99 acres. It currently consists of a fuel station, a service business, and some residential use. The existing conditions of this property, it's out on South Highway 16. As this property exists today, it is zoned Highway Service District. It's 5.99 acres. access is off Highway 16. There's two distinct building locations. 23697 Straddle Rim Drive is the single-family residence up here. It's a single-family residence with an attached garage, and there is also a shed up there. 13620 South Highway 16 is the service station. It's a convenience store and a warehouse building. There's a shed, and then there's obviously also some fuel pumps and buried fuel tanks. There are two businesses being operated on the parent parcel. There's the gas station and convenience store, and then there is also a recreational vehicle service station back there. There is also a conditional use permit on this property to allow an illuminated on-premise sign within 1,500 feet of a residential zoning district. So what they are proposing to do is create 4 lots out of this property. Lot 2A, they would all still be zoned highway service district right now. Lot 2A would be 1.962 acres. Its access would be off of Highway 16 via an existing approach. It would have the gas station, convenience store, the gas pump island, one shed, the RV service station, and then there is a typo in this staff report. It would also have the illuminated sign for from the conditional use permit, as that illuminated sign is the one that advertises the prices of the gas and stuff like that. Lot 2B up here would be 1.271 acres. Its access would be off of Straddle Rim Drive via an existing approach. It's currently vacant of any structures. Lot 2C would have the single-family residence and also the shed. It would be 1.470 acres. It would also be accessed off of Straddle Rim Drive via the existing approach. One thing to note on this lot is that a single-family residence is not a permitted use in a highway service district, so this proposed lot would have to be rezoned upon plat approval, or they would need to try for a conditional use permit to allow the single-family residence to stay. And then proposed lot 2D would be 1.286 acres. Again, access off of Straddle Rim Drive. It does note that there would be a 40-foot wide private access easement to lot D here, and that is vacant of structures right now. So the applicants have indicated that this property is being subdivided in order to be sold. They have mentioned that they do have a buyer interested in purchasing the gas station, but they would like some additional land with it. Staff has spoken with the applicant because there is a section line that runs right here through the property. So these gas pumps right here appear to be within the 66-foot wide section line right-of-way. So staff has spoken with the applicants. They are aware that they will either need to vacate or relocate this section line, which they wanted to do anyways because the new owners would like to build onto the front of the store and wouldn't be able to with the section line there. So they are already have that in their mind that they're going to be doing that. This was routed through the interdepartmental review process. A few things did come up. The highway department said that they would like to see a 40-foot wide access easement through all of this rather than in these 2 lots, this being an existing driveway. They would like it to be a 40-foot wide access easement all the way through here. And then also, let's see here. Oh, the county fire coordinator also mentioned that they would like to see a better access to these 2 lots versus just a dirt driveway. I did address both of those in the conditions of approval for this layout plat. So staff does recommend approval of layout plat 1520 with 14 conditions.
Questions for Cassie?
Is the highway right-of-way extend out to the north side of the section line right-of-way? Where is the highway right-of-way in relation to that section line?
I'm not sure where the highway right-of-way is, but the section line right-of-way would extend. The section line, let me see if I have a better picture of the section line.
It
Yeah.
appears that from the drawing that the highway right-of-way extends up to that section line right-of-way, which if it's part of the highway right-of-way, it would be very difficult to abandon that right-of-way.
And this property over here, to the east. They actually relocated this portion of the section line that runs through that property, they relocated that to the highway. So they kind of made the highway right of way and the section line be the same, rather than the section line be up here. So that's what I discussed with the applicant, is just relocating the section line to the highway like these ones did, so that the section line just goes with the highway.
Okay, that,
Will that mean then that the buried tanks will be okay where they are?
Yes.
Because the highway right-of-way and the section line right-of-way aren't wide enough to cause a problem there?
Yes, yep, if they relocated it down here, everything up here would be beyond the section line right of way.
Okay. And they're planning to leave that road right through the middle of Lot 2B?
Yes. To my understanding, they're not planning on moving the road, they're planning on leaving it the way that it exists right now.
Further questions for Cassie? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to comment on this? No? Somebody like to make a motion?
I would move adoption of PL 1520.
I'm sorry.
Approval. I'd move approval of PL 1520.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve layout plat PL 1520 with 14 conditions.
14 conditions, yeah.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 22.
I have an additional document for item 22, if I can just approach and pass them out real quick.
Please.
Okay. Item 22 is conditional use permit 1518 for an illuminated, oh, that's the wrong one. For an illuminated on-premise sign within 1,500 feet of a residential zoning district. Let me just make sure I can find conditional use permit 1518 here. Can you go look inside? I made it. It didn't get transferred over. The applicant is Rapid Valley Methodist Church with the agent of Doug Nix. Essentially, there's an existing sign structure that, through staff research and conversations with the church staff, appears to have been built prior to 1994. The letter I sent out to you is from one of the attendants to the church. Again, it's not definitive proof, but it is, thank you, it is some information as to when the sign structure was put there. Therefore, it would make the sign structure legal non-conforming. The applicant has come in and asked to change the sign from this to that, which would take away the legal non-conforming status. Also, the illuminated sign would be located within 1,500 feet of residential dwelling units or a residential zoned area, hence the conditional use permit. There are 5 items that need to be considered when a conditional use permit is reviewed by the Planning Commission. The first is that the effect upon the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses already permitted and upon property values within the immediate vicinity. The elimination of the sign at night may cause undesirable light pollution, particularly for motorists traveling along Longview Road. And there is a letter that was included in the staff reports from Cody and Carl Arthur stating their concerns about the addition of the illuminated on-premise sign. Item number 2, the effect upon the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area, and this conditional use permit should not affect the normal and orderly development of the properties in the area. Item 3, that utilities, access roads, drainage, or other necessary facilities are provided. They are already provided on that property and have been for some time. Item 4, that off-street parking and load requirements are met. It's not really something to consider for this conditional use permit. Item 5, that measures are taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, and light, inclusive of lighted signs, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance. It appears that the use of again, nuisance being a very subjective term, it appears the use of this sign structure for the new addition may not create a nuisance. However, the applicant should take care not to create a nuisance. And we believe that if they were to follow the conditions and the zoning ordinance, that it may eliminate that possibility. So therefore, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 1518 with 7 conditions.
Thank you, PJ. Any questions for staff?
Was there any discussion of putting a timer on the light? So, like after 10 at night or something like that, it wouldn't be lit?
No discussion through me with the applicant. There is a part of the sign ordinance that says off-premise signs have to be off by midnight. There's nothing to dictate on-premise signs.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members in the audience who would like to speak to this issue?
Depends what your answer is.
Well, why don't you come up and tell us what you think? Please come in and state your name for the record.
Yeah, Gary Walters, and I'm the pastor at Rapid Valley United Methodist Church. And I probably know the least about the sign of everyone gathered here, so I'll ask Vicki from Conrad Signs to come up.
Hello, I'm Vicki from Conrad Signs. The question about the timer for the sign, there is an automatic timer built in that can be set to anything. It can go off at 10 o'clock and can go back on at 6 o'clock in the morning. Also, the brightness of the thing can be regulated by a timer as well. You'd have it brighter during the day when it's light out and significantly dimmer at night.
Okay, that's cool.
And though not required, the church would be happy to accommodate the neighbors in that way.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions for either Pastor Walters or Vicki? No, I guess, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would move approval of CUP 1518 with, did we have any conditions here?
7 conditions.
7, okay. 7 conditions?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve conditional use permit CU 15-18 with 7 conditions recommended by staff. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 23.
Item 23 is minor plat 1518 and subdivision regulation variance 1509 to reconfigure lot lines to create Lot 1 revised of Dyer's subdivision and to waive plating requirements. The applicant is Cleon and Audrey Dyers with the landowner, an additional landowner of J.M. Fullerton. All right, here it is in a nutshell. Essentially, the items outlined in red, the applicant already owns over 11 acres. He wants to acquire the area of about 0.17 acres that's highlighted in yellow that belongs to the property owner to the south, Mr. Fullerton. That's about 90-some plus acres. We have signed applications from both of the landowners, and so they're looking to create through this minor plat, basically consolidate that 0.17 acres into the larger land to the north, essentially to provide better access to the property, Mr. Dyer's property. One of the conditions, though, is that this will create a second approach onto the property, and an approval for that second approach will be required. Staff routed this through the interdepartmental review, and no items of concern did come back. The applicant has asked to waive the following subdivision regulation variances in this minor plat process. Percolation tests and profile hole information. There already exists a single-family residence on the property. If any additional structures were to be applied for the property that would require an on-site wastewater treatment system, that would be addressed during the building permit process. Engineered road construction plans. The applicant is not increasing density to the property and has not indicated at any time that he's looking to provide that, to subdivide off any additional property to create future residences on the property to the west. There's already single-family residence to the part of the lot to the east. That the 8-foot minor drainage and utility easement be provided along all interior lot lines. There weren't on the original plat, and it never came back as a comment from anybody during the interdepartmental review process that would be required. Again, all the lot, utilities are already in place for the single-family resident to the property to the east, or the portion of the property to the east. The other item they wanted, asking to waive is topographical information on a 5-foot contour intervals, and staff does not believe that this is necessary for approval of this plat. Item 5, that they add extra right-of-way dedication. Again, density is not being increased. Everything, from what we understand, is going to be the same, so staff has asked that that not be included. Not to improve the roadway to 24-foot wide driving surface. There already is a 50-foot wide dedicated right-of-way easement with 15 to 18 feet from what we can measure of drivable surface, and again, density is not increasing. One item that did come back from the water protection coordinator is that an operating permit would be required for an on-site wastewater treatment system for the existing house, which is in the southwest corner of the property, portion of the property to the east, and through our platting requirements, that would an operating permit would need to be required prior to this plat being filed with the Register of Deeds. There is a Forest Service easement on the property. Again, the Forest Service comments didn't come back saying that it was a bad thing. There's other just confirming that the forest easement does exist on the property, and they're okay with that. Staff recommends approval of subdivision regulation variance 1509 with the 6 items previously mentioned, and that'll be the first motion.
Questions for PJ? I just have one. Can you show us where the 2 approach accesses
Sure,
are?
let's see if I can get a better one here.
Really tall.
Okay, there's one here, and there's one down here, and this is where that new portion of the property, basically for those at home watching, directly to the west of the structures across the road, right in here. So this would be the first one, and this is the existing one.
So the existing one is way at the north
So
end?
if you look right here,
Okay.
and then down here. It will provide easier and better access, and the applicant may even want to close one of the approach to the further to the north. We don't know yet.
Both accesses exist now, right?
They do, that is correct, but not on one property.
And you didn't hear anything from the highway department about that?
No, I believe it was just none. The comment that came back from the highway department was essentially about the Forest Service
The
easement.
Forest Service easement,
Yep.
right. Okay. Are there any other questions for PJ? Is the applicant here? Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Cleon Deers.
Hi.
There are a couple of, I have a letter here from Nellie Lane, or approach applicant, signed off by our president of the Nellie Lane Road District, that this is okay. So, and then there are a couple of other things that I noted in the the requirements. One of them was that I need a building permit for an equipment shed. And that equipment shed was there when I bought the property in '93. And as far as I can tell, Mr. Cobb, the former owner, built it roughly at the end of 1970 or the beginning of 1980. So that shed was there. The other couple of comments that I wanted to take note of here was, I wanted to know what a wastewater treatment system, that requirement, what that means. Is that just a,
Brittany, do you want to
Right there.
talk about the
She can break it down to simple
permit?
language.
It's just a pumping and observation of your system.
oh, so when I have somebody come out and take a look at my septic system, that is what covers that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
They'll pump, and they'll write up an inspection form and turn that inspection form into the county, and then you'll get an operating permit. I think it costs, what, $20 to get an
Yeah,
operating
good for
permit?
6
Okay.
years usually.
Yeah. The other thing was on the addresses. Basically, there are 3 addresses on that property. There's one on the house, there's one on a rock with about 3 to 4 inch letters that give the house number. And then there is also the fire department green sign. So there are 3 house numbers listed on the property.
That ought to be enough.
So, the other question I had was on it says that I need to change where is it here? Maybe it's on this other one.
Or if it's about the rezone, we're not, that one yet.
Pardon?
If it's on this one, we're not talking about that one yet.
Yeah, okay.
It's on the
Well,
rezone.
it's basically saying that I need to revise the name of the plat. Is that correct?
Oh, that would have come back probably from the Register of Deeds or
Yes.
from the equalization.
Yes.
That's on the rezone, right?
And why does that need to be done if I had if that wasn't caught or needed to be done back when I did the original plat in '03 or '04 or somewhere in that neighborhood?
Good question.
Yep. I don't know why it wasn't caught back that far ago. Department of Equalization and the Register of Deeds recommended improvements to the legal description
Okay.
for the plat.
So that,
They varied slightly, even in their recommendations.
Yeah.
And I would go with what the Register of Deeds had mentioned and even talk with Donna.
so that is an improvement then on stating, what the property name is.
I would believe so.
Okay.
Any more
Just-
questions?
Just so the applicant is aware, the county has one legal address on the property at this time. If you have additional, then we'll talk about that also.
Okay.
Yep.
I think you meant, though, didn't you, Mr. Deers, that it's the same number that's
Yes.
listed in 2 different places, and then you have the
So
fire number?
3 different places.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where it is.
yeah. Okay.
That is good.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Is there further discussion? Any more questions for PJ? If the shed was built in the 70s, are we still going to keep that condition?
We can amend the condition. According to staff research, it was built sometime in 2004.
Oh.
Equalization has that date as well. If we can go back further and find it was built before that, through aerials, we weren't able to determine that. We went off of what equalization has in 2004. So we could amend that condition to say,
That prior to the plat being filed with the Register of Deeds, the landowner obtain an approved building permit unless evidence is found
to the contrary.
establishing its construction at an earlier date?
We've already
Something
been done
like
at work.
that? Would that satisfy you, Mr. Deers? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, anybody want to make a motion?
I'd move approval for a minor plat PL 15-18 with item 2 as modified per chair's suggestion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve minor plat PL 1518 with 7 conditions. The second condition altered to reflect possible earlier building of the shed. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Madam Chair.
Motion carried.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we approved subregs yet.
Right, we still have to do the subdivision regulations variance, SB 1509. Someone like to make a motion there?
I would move approval of subdivision variance 15-09 per staff's recommendation.
Okay, per staff's recommendations.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve subdivision regulations variance SB 1509 with staff's recommendations. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 24.
Item 24 is to rezone .17 acres from General Agriculture District to Limited Agriculture District. The applicant is Cleon and Audrey Deers with the landowner to the south of J.M. Fullerton. Again, this is just a continuation of the minor plat and the subregs that you just heard. It's basically the applicant bringing the portion of the property they want to consolidate into compliance. As you can see here with the current zoning, it's that light green, which is general agriculture. The future land use for the property is in harmony with the applicant's current property designation of limited agriculture district zoning. And so a comprehensive plan amendment would not be needed in this case, just a rezone. With the surrounding zoning with general agriculture, limited agriculture, and low-density residential, and the future land use within 0.5 miles of the area does seem to be in harmony with the surrounding land use. The request for comment was routed through the interdepartmental review, and no items of significance came back. Therefore, staff recommends approval of rezone 1511 to rezone the property from general agriculture district to limited agriculture district.
Thank you. Are there any questions for PJ? I have one. On the future zoning map that you gave us in our packet,
Yep, it's up on the screen as well.
yeah, it looks like, are we just rezoning the 0.17 acres, or are we
Just-
rezoning that whole southern
Just this
piece?
tiny little part right there.
Okay,
Yep. So it's going from general ag to limited ag.
okay.
Yep.
Mr. Deers, do you have anything to say about this one? Would you like to come forward, please, if you have more questions? No. Nope, this one doesn't have any requirements. It's just a rezone.
That's the way to go.
Okay. Further discussion on this issue? If not, Chair would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve rezone 15-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve rezone 15-11. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 25.
Item 25 is minor plat 1519 and subdivision regulation variance 1510 to create Tract A of Gillis addition and to waive platting requirements. The applicant is Elvira Gillis, the agent is Davis Engineering, and the agent is in the audience today if you have any questions. The applicant is requesting this minor plat and subdivision regulations to create proposed Lot A of the addition so that they can do a land trade with Pacifica Loan Pool LLC, which exists and owns some property within the general area. On the screen, outlined in blue, is the parent parcel, which is over almost about 130 acres owned by the applicant. It is zoned general agriculture district. There's a single-family residence on the property, which appears to have been built prior to 1994, and there is an existing gravel roadway easement, which varies in length from 12 to 30 feet, that provides access to the lots. The proposed property, which is outlined in red and here shown at a more closer look, would be 35.59 acres, is currently zoned general agriculture district. In general ag, a 40-acre minimum is required, and the applicant has already applied for a lot size variance, which is number 1522, which will be heard before the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Adjustment this Friday, September 18th. It is void of any structures, and again, there's an existing roadway easement that provides access to the property. The road district in the other area, Kiefer Ranch Road District, has been made aware of this application and these applications and has not really provided comment at this time. The applicant has requested subdivision regulation variances 1510. They asked for 5 items to be waived. That the scale of the plat from 1 inch to be 1 inch to 100 feet. The applicant has provided 1 inch to 200 foot scale, and this appears to be appropriate for the approval of this plat. at a 24-foot wide gravel driving surface, road improvements and engineered road construction plans for the section line right-of-way. The existing roadway appears to be adequate to serve the needs of the parcels it serves. One thing to keep a note that this is increasing density by one lot in the area. Item 3, percolation and profile hole information not be required prior to the filing of the plat. The Pennington County Water Protection Coordinator stated in the request for comments that profile and percolation information is needed due to the very limited soil rating for on-site wastewater treatment systems by the USDA Web Soil Survey, and therefore staff will not be recommending this item be waived. Item 4, submittal of topographical information to 5-foot contour intervals. Staff does not feel that this is necessary for the approval of this plat and would recommend that that be waived. Item 5, I think, was just a general statement that was provided, but we have to address it, that any other requirements for subdivision regulations be waived. This would basically negate the process, so just as a formality, we're just saying that it have to be waived. Again, during the request for comments, the County Water Protection Coordinator indicated they'd like a profile and percolation test done prior to the plat being filed with the Register of Deeds. In addition, the acting ordinance officer has been out towards the property for other non-related items and had been out on the property about 7 months ago. It indicated there were a possibility of violations on the properties and would essentially just like to schedule a meeting with either the owner or the agent to go out and to ascertain if there are any violations, and if so, to get those cleared up. There is a 2-page letter written by the agent, Davis Engineering, which has been included in your packet. Just want to bring you light to that. And therefore, staff would recommend approval of 3 of the 5 subdivision regulation variances for 1510. The first being the 1-inch to 100-foot map scale. The second, the 24-foot wide driving surface, road improvements, and engineering road construction plans for the section line right-of-way, and submittal of topographical information at 5-foot contour intervals. Staff is recommending denial of the following subdivision regulation variances which were requested. Number 1, percolation and profile hole information prior to filing the plat, and the statement, any other requirement for subdivision regulations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions for PJ? I'm just curious about the "it's a long story" that you put in your letter. No questions for PJ? Ron, would you like to come and tell us what's up with this? Do you have anything to say about it?
No, I guess we're just trying to get that plat.
Sorry, should have left that out.
That story's been running for 25 years, so I'm not gonna tell you all of it. Basically, what happened is, the property to, you got a pointer or something?
Good luck with this.
Better to use.
That's all right. No, up, to the north up there's an existing house that's been out there since the 60s, and Darrell Gillis was living in that house and lost it to the bank, and so it was sold to a corporation out of California. And then he was without a home. He's just done. So his mother, who owns the blue land, is trying to trade this land that we're trying to plat right now to the California company for the property to the north.
So he can
So
get
her
his
son
house
can
back.
move back in his house, and that's all we're trying to do is trade this property for the other one above. And because of all the regulations with the city and the county and everything that's required, the only way to do this is to get the acreage to come out is to have this one a little short of 40 acres. But as soon as this plat is approved, within 2 weeks or something, we're gonna submit to the city for another plat, which then this will include this lot plus some land to the north. You don't have a picture
I
of
can
that,
get it for
do
you. Yep. Just talk slow.
Anyway, it's gonna include this property plus a little bit to the north, which will make it 47 acres or something like that when they're done. And then the other 2 all meet the right size requirements anyway,
And
so,
then they can trade.
yeah. So there's a short period of time, it's gonna be less than 40 acres, but within 2-3 weeks afterwards, it's gonna be 47, so
Okay,
that's the whole idea. It's,
Some of
Okay.
that land that's being traded was rezoned.
yes.
And I don't think it's ever been created
Yeah, I
to
don't know what
match the
happened to that,
rezone.
yeah, but,
But it's an unrelated property
We'll clean
for
that
this item, so.
so which piece of property is the one that they're gonna trade for?
Hold on a second.
okay, the east end of that red is the plat we're trying to do right now, right there. And we're gonna trade for that piece to the north that touches it right there, keep going, the big piece,
One more-
right there,
that
all
big
of that.
piece.
And then this, when we get done, and we replat this lot, it'll go up that narrow area that, from this land that goes up to the end, that little narrow strip, it'll go up there and a little farther and go across, so that then will include the 7 acres there, that'll make it 40-something, so.
Okay,
And,
That's all we're trying to do.
okay.
and this is showing, or is it here? If you can see where that line's drawn, everything to the northeast and north surrounding that, that's all
Oh,
city
that's city.
plating jurisdiction, so.
Oh, that complicates everything, doesn't it?
No, we make it easy.
Okay. Questions for Ron?
No.
No? Thank you very much. Discussion.
Question.
Bill.
TJ.
Yes, sir.
The septic system on that, for the resident, is it in compliance now, the residents?
I'm gonna check here.
Which residence? The one on the
One that
parent
they-
parcel or
Well,
the trading?
At the
partner?
present time, there is no residence on the property that they're platting,
That's
right?
correct.
Correct.
Nothing on that.
Nothing on that one.
But
I don't have any information.
So I guess my question is, normally, we don't require that until we plat, or to get a building permit for that piece of property that.
Correct. And not in speaking out of turn, the concern is the soil.
Right, and on the parent parcel, I believe the parent parcel is over 40 acres and unplatted, so they wouldn't be required to do the pumping and observation on that parent parcel. So, but on the new one, I know that those soils are hit and miss out there. There's some places that have evapotranspiration beds. There's a peachy shale out there, so that's the reasoning for that. And I know the city on some of those lots to the north have required engineered plans and an engineer to sign off on it. So that was the reasoning for the request for that information.
But the city doesn't have septic jurisdiction on this property, do they? You guys
No,
do.
but during the
County does.
plating process, they can require that, so.
Of course,
Sorry.
they can.
I was gonna request that that item be removed, to not do
Yeah,
them
I
before,
see.
because there's nobody gonna build on this. The California Corporation will end up trying to sell it to somebody for development in the future. But they're not even a land development company, they don't do any of that stuff, so. I was gonna request that, but I thought, why mess it up? Keep it simple and get it done. So,
I
but
think-
if you're willing to do that, that'd be great.
I think the county would like to have that condition stay just so that whoever purchases this property from the California Corporation will know that there is a buildable site. Correct? Is that? Further discussion? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion. Let's do this. Should we do just the
We're on subregs right now.
subregs?
I'll
Staff
make
is
a
ready.
motion, we approve the minor plat 1519.
Oh, we haven't really
It's up to
discussed the
you.
plat yet.
However you
Right.
guys want to go.
Let's do the subdivision regulations first.
Okay.
The variances,
The three, staff's recommending that 3 be waived.
3 be
That were-
waived
That
and
were requested.
2 not be waived.
I'll so move that.
Okay.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve subdivision regulations variances SB 1510, waiving the 101-inch to 100-foot map scale, 24-foot gravel driving surface road improvements and engineered road construction plans, and submittal of topographical information at 5-foot contour intervals, and denial of percolation and profile hole information prior to filing the plat, and the statement, any other requirement for subdivision regulations. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. On to the minor plat.
Staff recommends approval of minor plat 1519 with 3 conditions.
And so move for staff's recommendations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve minor plat PL 1519 with 3 conditions recommended by staff. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 26, County Board Report.
The Board of Commissioners concurred with the Planning Commission's recommendations from the August 28th, 2015 Planning Commission meeting.
Okay. Items from the public. Anybody? We have some public left. No? Items from the staff. Building permit report.
Sure. You have in front of you a building permit report for August 2015. Overall, from this time, compared for this date last year, building permits are up about 5%. Single-family residence is up 20%. Pole barns, greenhouses, lean-tos, that's up about 24%, which is usually not a decrease. Our garages, decks, and carports are down 10%. People are building bigger things now.
Apparently. Are there any questions?
Just a general question. When you have an apartment complex, and is that listed in hotel and motel?
I'm sorry, which?
Like an apartment complex, like the ones out in Rapid Valley that are being built? Where would you put these in there?
Probably under 213.
Yeah, that's what I kind of suspected, but I wasn't sure.
There's very subtle differences between each of those categories.
Yeah.
So 104 family buildings 3-4, is it like a 3-plex or a 4-plex?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything
And we've
bigger
had
would-
one of those recently.
Yeah,
Yep.
and anything bigger would go under hotels, motels?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, VHR committee.
The VHR committee has been meeting regularly. I had emailed out to you a portion of one of their proposed edits to the ordinance. Their concern is the clarity of how it is written. I don't know, did everybody get the?
I did not.
Yeah, it was sent out at 7:30 on September 11th. I was here a little late Friday night, but I can get you a portion of it, then I won't have it.
Oh, no, go ahead.
When this came up at the end of last year, beginning of last year, the clarity of the definition of transfer was of concern for Commissioner Troutman. This item came up during the VHR committee. This was a draft of the definition that has been recommended and approved by the VHR committee members. It was drafted with the help of the committee members, and Kinsley wrote from the state's attorney's office. They're just looking for comment on it at this time. No motions, anything like that, just comment or discussion on the clarity of this definition of transfer.
And basically, the definition, you can transfer from anybody to anybody, so it's wide open at this point.
Should I read it for everybody?
If you'd like to.
Well, was this sent out via email, or was it sent out hard copy, or?
It was
sent
an
out-
email, and I did receive it.
Yeah, it was sent out Friday night.
Right.
Um,
I don't think I got it.
Copies real quick? Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
really
nice.
useful.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
I copied it down so I could probably read it, if I can read my handwriting.
It was sent out to all the planning commission members and board of commissioners with copies of related staff at the same time. I wonder, sometimes that'll push it over into the spam file if there's too many people.
Maybe.
So I may have to
Hey,
unspam
yeah,
us.
so that's,
I didn't get it either.
I know I didn't see it.
Did you get it, Bill?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it, so you two did.
I printed it out, then didn't go get it.
I printed it out and left it home, too, I think. Maybe not.
They're getting copies of it. So,
It's here.
like to discuss anything else?
What, did anything else happen in the VHR committee meeting? Any other big decisions?
Nothing big. I mean, there's a lot of good discussion, there are a lot of recommendations for change.
They're going over point by point, but this is the most significant thing that was discussed.
Did you guys discuss issues with divorce and separation and transfer?
That was brought up during this definition.
Right.
Yep.
But there's still more discussion going to be done in the future.
Yep.
Because nothing is set.
That's PJ's. Can I? Thanks. You can have yours back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there was an objection to the number of parking places required, but nothing happened on that.
The big impetus for change, as I've stated at other meetings, is the inclusion of vacation homes in suburban residential districts. That's a huge change
Right.
that they're recommending. And so other changes are coming off of that.
Anybody
So,
have comments,
In
Jim?
the case of a divorce, well, what's the deal? If it's transferred to the wife as part of the property settlement, is that
I'd actually invite
part of
the author up to discuss.
Oh, okay.
When this was initially brought up for discussion, it was for transfer to spouses, so this is quite an expansion of the initial idea.
I guess,
Kinsley.
yeah, the members discussed what to do in regards to spouses in the divorce, but, so if people are still married, they can make the transfer before the divorce is finalized, but if they do it after the divorce is finalized, then it is considered a transfer.
Oh, okay.
How about a legal separation? Did they talk about that? I don't even know if that happens much anymore, though.
Well, that would normally be before a
Before a
formal divorce
divorce.
is
Yeah.
set in
So-
stone, so, that wouldn't be considered a transfer. You could do that, so you just have to make sure and wrap everything up in your divorce.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? You guys want some more time to think about this? Bring it up next time? since some
The
of us
committee
didn't get
does
it?
meet again prior to your next meeting, so,
Okay.
but if you want to email comments and CC everybody,
Okay,
and I can mail this out again if anybody needs.
that'll work. Sure. Rita, nice to see you.
Thank you. Rita Chapman. My concern of what we brought this, my interpretation of bringing it to you is were we broad enough? Were we too narrow? Is this the direction you wanted us, that the committee was, the planning commission was kind of directing us? If you back up a little bit, we did add SRDs into the transfer so that they could be transferred after sales. That's part of what we've been working on. I don't have a copy of how we worded that, but, so this particular definition was going on the premise that they could be transferred in all zoning districts. They would just have to go through a transfer process. And if you would like us to be broader, then give us a direction on it. That was mine, and I know one other committee member's purpose, but you'd have to ask anyone else on the other stuff, so that was the thought.
Joyce, do you have an opinion? Thank you, Rita.
And there was no formal motion made by the board to bring this forward.
Joyce Shagru. I'm on the committee, as you all know. I voted against this because it does include suburban residential districts. That is a major, major change in the ordinance. And I have no concern, actually, with the way this is worded with allowance of the transfer in zoning districts other than SRD. And so I did vote against it because of the inclusion of SRD overall. So actually, the wording of this seems fine to me. It's wide open transfer now, which it wasn't before. And our concern as a committee was This came back to us from the county board, and so are we meeting what their intent was or what their discussion entailed? And we listened to the tape individually to see if we got the intent of what they were speaking to, so we're trying to meet what they're thinking. As far as just the definition of transfer.
Excuse me.
So, Joyce, clarify for me. In other words, you're concerned about the transfer because it would help sustain VHFs in SRDs?
It's inclusive. See, we made the motion 4-2 to allow vacation home rentals within suburban residential. That motion was made within the committee with a 4-2 vote. So now as we move forward, that's already been approved, so then we're discussing these individual items in relationship to including SRD. And so I'm consistently voting against the inclusion of SRD. That makes sense to you, Jim?
I think I understand what you mean.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
And I was
Thank
wrong.
you both.
I was wrong. The committee meets on the 30th. You guys will meet on the 28th, so you will have another meeting prior. If
Okay,
you want to
so if
provide
we
comment
have,
then.
if we have any issues with this or any suggestions with this definition, we should email the committee.
Or you can go through
Or
me
we
if you
can
don't
talk
want to.
about it next meeting.
Is that at 2 o'clock, same time, on the 30th?
Yes.
2 o'clock on the 30th
And
is
you
the
guys,
next
and that's a
PHR
Wednesday.
committee.
That's a Wednesday. Would you like it as a discussion item or on the next planning commission meeting on 28th?
What do you guys think? More discussion on this?
Since we meet before they do, I guess, I mean, to me, you could handle it in the next agenda too, if there's further discussion.
Okay, why don't we stick it on the agenda and see what pops up?
Okay. And by that time, I believe the Board of Commissioners will have met also. Well, they meet Friday, so.
Right, they meet Friday. Okay, anything else on vacation home rentals? Items for membership? Anybody have anything?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I was told last week that this was going to be a long meeting. And I commend the staff and the department for the way they're handling things, and I'm trying to figure out a way to turn the county commission meetings over to planning and zoning.
I do have a question. When the staff writes up the various CUPs, sometimes you include an item history and sometimes you don't. Why do you do it sometimes and not others?
What would it be, a fresh CUP or like a review? Conditional use permit reviews will have like the history of what happened.
Okay.
Fresh conditional use permits will have a history of the property, but there probably won't be a permit history if it's a fresh one. Like the,
Yeah, but-
like
but-
the light, the illuminated sign today.
But a lot of times there's no history of the property either, and
Okay.
sometimes that's a factor
Okay, we'll make sure that's
of
consistent.
interest. I don't know how the rest of this
Okay.
commission thinks,
And the staff might consider that relevance or not at the time they're writing it.
but I was mostly just curious as to how you decided whether to do it or not.
It's probably just staff's opinion of whether it's relevant or not. I have to say, I agree with Commissioner Peterson. We've been hearing about this agenda for a long time, that it was going to be a really long meeting. So, yeah, you guys did a great job.
Thank you, and I'm sure they appreciate that. Those that are left, and I'll definitely pass it on and play this on the recording over and over again for staff. But this was particularly a hard one, with two staff and all the ones that came in and the time to do it, yes. So,
I do have one question. We have a meeting scheduled for October 12th, which is South Dakota's Native American Day, and I'm wondering why we're meeting on a holiday.
we're open.
We are open.
The county
Yeah.
has just chosen to be
Yep.
open.
Make a motion for staff to be off that day?
Do we have that kind of power?
No,
I don't think so.
If it's a problem for anybody, I know I can be here, maybe we can find out if there'd be enough commissioners.
I will be gone, but.
Do a roll call. Anybody else?
Okay, well, I guess it's not a problem. Anything else from membership?
This is probably, I should have brought it up maybe under the VH rental committee meeting. The one thing that I'm kind of fearing is that, especially if we're opening up to SRD, that most homeowners associations are not following this. I mean, if we're making that broad a change, I almost like to see a letter go out to the president of homeowner associations, at least major ones. I don't know if we have a listing in the county of all the homeowners associations that are out there. That's probably the biggest thing, is there's probably not an official listing of what it is, but I don't know, I just have a problem without homeowners associations not following this, and all of a sudden it's gonna be ordinance, and then we're gonna hear the complaints.
We'll also keep in mind, they're just a recommending body, and it's still gonna come before the planning commission before it goes up to the board of commissioners. It still has several steps to
But
go.
I think we'd get more input when it gets to that point if homeowners associations were aware. I don't think they're gonna be aware until it's too late.
Okay.
When you say they're not following, you mean they're not aware of it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
There hasn't
I
been much
have to, I have to agree with that. I think that's a really good suggestion, because as you know, I'm just an observer. I can't really have an opinion or a vote. I don't have a vote.
Joyce?
Joyce Sugar, that's a really good point, Sig. You know, I am in a development that has homeowners association covenants and road district. We've got them all. And it is so difficult to generate any kind of enthusiasm. Everyone is really busy. I've talked to a lot of people in my association. I have 3 or 4, and they've been showing up at the meetings, which is very, very good. I've given orientation to them, trying to get the homeowners association president more involved. We've got some things going on. It is really difficult. But I agree, you know, we've discussed, should we call? Should we find out who these associations are? We don't know. But I agree. I really think we need that up front, regardless of the outcome. Because if we don't, then we have it on the backside. And that is so difficult to deal with. You know, if they'd come to the committee, even, it would be helpful. And I've got some who are attending, but they're very quiet. They don't say very much. I know their opinion. They're listening. But we do need that because, you know, it's better to have it up front than after the fact. You know, just to have people involved and know what's going on at the county level and what an impact has on them. You know, they love to complain. But, you know, to really get in there and voice when you're making the decisions is so helpful, but it is really hard. And then I find there are, you know how communities are, homeowners associations are the same. People don't get along necessarily, so I can get one couple to come to a meeting, but they don't like somebody else, so they, you know, it is really, people just can't stand back and just, you know, have an objective viewpoint about things. But I agree, if there is some way that, if you know who the homeowners associations are, if there's some way that they could be notified, I'd be happy to help as a member of a homeowners association in any way I could, just to get their opinions, pro or con. You know, that isn't the point. It's get them to talk before you have to make your decisions. So I agree with Sig. I think anything we can do would be helpful.
I think also that it's it would be valuable just in terms of if they want to get their membership together and change their covenants to avoid the possibility, because I think some subdivisions may want to do that.
And again, if I may, we are in the process of that, and we have been in that process since 2012. And ours were very outdated. The development was, as I understand, an aftermath of the flood. We have some relocation areas, flood relocation. So it's been there since the 1970s. The covenant's very old, never amended. So now we're trying to amend them, and it is again, the very same process. Apathy and then complaint. It's the process that people go through. So the education of the public, I think, would really be helpful.
And I just feel like it would help diffuse the situation, because, I mean, if we get complaints after, we can say you can give them the opportunity. And on the flip side, I think we could find out that a lot of these homeowners associations said, yeah, we think this is wonderful. You know, I mean, I think it benefits both sides of the issue.
I agree.
If you
Rita.
don't mind, I kind of agree, but also in the other token, maybe we should let every out-of-state homeowner know about this, because I had the same thing happen. You know, I do know of one homeowners association that immediately got it, no vacation home rentals. So they had no problem getting it passed within months of the last vacation home rental ordinance being passed. So it's all within the homeowners association. Just because, so do we need to tell every homeowner that's out of state that this is going on also? I mean, so we're drawing a fine line here. The county is not a homeowners association. The county is not a homeowners association. Right. The development should make its own decisions, yes or no. And if the majority is not behind it, then it's basically, you've got to read the writing on the wall at some point. But the county does need to be more general and not a homeowners association. And if you want to make that connection with the HOAs, then maybe you kind of have to balance who you're going to tell what to. Because I had the same conversations with out-of-state homeowners saying, we didn't know anything about this, what happened? And so.
Aren't they part of the homeowners association?
They should be.
They should be.
You know what, on some of them that I've discussed, there's no homeowners association. And on some, there was a homeowners association. One in particular was the Edelweiss. So if they were contacted and they let all their people know what's going on, then yes, there would be, that contact would be made through the HOAs. But remember, not everybody's a member of an HOA. So.
Well, and I realize that, but I mean, I think you're catching a vast portion of it.
Right, yes, yes.
By that, but like I said, I'm assuming the county doesn't keep a list of that either, though. So I mean, like, I don't know how you go about it.
Yeah.
And we just found out last week, some of the covenants are filed, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
Maybe we should refer this discussion to the committee.
Also, I was going to recommend is whatever you recommend, I'm still going to take it to the committee
Yes.
first, let them decide.
Well, thank you, just I
To
mention that.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on their behalf, so.
Joyce.
I can only speak for the Pine Cliff Homeowners Association, and I'm not on the board, but I know that the communications go to everyone, including those that are not owner-occupied and reside elsewhere in the state or out of state. But I can't speak for anyone else, and Rita's correct that we have a few who have no organization at all, and so that makes it much more difficult for communication.
Just so the board, just for clarification, the county does not enforce covenants, but it does in relation to vacation home rentals. That's why this is a big deal.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion? Anything else from membership? If not, Chair would accept an adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Thank you for your comments.